Te quiero mucho.
Donald Jeffries. Author of Hidden History and Survival of the Richest. Host of The Donald Jeffries Show. Billy Ray Valentine. Host of the Infinite Fringe podcast. Researcher, truth seeker from the Bronx, New York. Tony Arterburn. Radio host, combat veteran, precious metals analyst, and alt historian. Together, they take on the headlines of the week, decode the disinformation, and plow through the mainstream propaganda. Unauthorized, unscripted, and unintimidated. This is America Unplugged.
Greetings. Hello. Hope everybody's doing well. The War on Reality Report. It is America Unplugged. What's up? Tony Arterburn, the wisest of all the wolves, is here with me today, as per usual. What's up, Tone? What's going on?
I'm back. It's good to see you and Don. I'm back in Texas. There's real food here. I was in England last week. Went and saw David Icke and Gareth Icke and got to sit down with Richard Willett. It was a wonderful experience, but it was good to be back and get a steak.
Very good. Very, very nice. Going over there and seeing the legendary David Icke. No matter what you think of him, legendary, right? Like the stuff of legends.
Absolutely.
To see that fun. Dude. I remember back when I was steeped in conspiracism and I heard that David Icke was coming to the United States, bro. I got up out of my office and ran. I literally ran to Ticketmaster. That was a thing back then, that you went to a Ticketmaster booth and buy tickets. And I went there and I bought tickets to see David Icke. And this is why when people call David a grifter, I respectfully disagree, and disrespectfully, if you take it that way, disagree with you. I bought tickets to go see David Icke. He spoke for 8 freaking hours, okay? 8 hours, and I met him after the fact, okay? And he's the nicest man in the world. Plus, when I was working for Iconic, I interacted with him a couple of times, and I met him here when he came to New York. And he's just a really nice guy. Is he wrong about a lot of things? Yeah, in my opinion, he's wrong about a lot of things, but he is without a doubt a legendary figure in what we do. Love David Icke. I love Gareth Icke. He's the man. He's always treated me with nothing but respect, and always offered me his friendship. And Richard Willett, while I was over at Iconic, this is where the show started, America Unplugged. Richard Willett was instrumental in the production aspect of this show. So I have a lot of love for them. So I'm glad you got over there and got to do all of that and got to meet these people and interview them and have bad English food. I mean, it happens, we can't.
I had a lot of Guinness. Guinness works. It's like a meal.
Well, there you go. I don't know what I would do. I don't drink, so I don't know what I would do over there. So let's hope. Whenever I get over there, I'll find something to eat. The legendary Don Jeffries is here. How are you, sir? What's going on?
Yeah, well, glad Tony's back from Atlanta. I mean, my people have the worst food and cuisines in the world. I'm half Irish and half English, and I'm sorry, I just got a bad mouth their cuisines. I love my people, but they just
same. They're my people.
Black pudding, did you? That's popular over there.
Well, some Irish food is good, and I know a lot of Irish people that cook really well. Irish
green beer.
I don't know if that's Irish food, right? That's American Irish food, so it's a different deal. But over here, Tony and I went to a really good Irish pub when we were here.
Yeah, we did.
When Tony was here. It was fantastic. We had a good time. All right. The world is burning still. Everybody in the chat, what's going on? Everybody that's tuning in, everybody that's listening after the fact on the podcast. How are you? Greetings and blessings to you. I hope you and your families are doing fantastic. Couple of news articles that we want to hit. And on Gorilla Underground last week, we spoke about the death of the petrodollar. And it's I know we have been talking about this for some time, but one of the developments that went down last weekend and still, being talked about now to a degree, I don't see anybody in the alternative media really talking about it, which is shocking to me. And just some mainstream outlets have reported on it, but Iran threatened to have anybody that was going to cross into the Strait of Hormuz that they needed to use the Chinese yuan. I don't know if I'm saying that right, Tony. The yuan.
That's right.
They needed to use the Chinese yuan in order to do it, and that action is bigger than just about anything that can be done militarily, with the exception of a nuke. That action would destroy the United States economically and the status in the world. We know that's happening already. We have the foresight to see that that's happening already. But what that action would do right now is a rocket ship. And we know the Trump regime has put a rocket ship on the decline of America in almost every aspect. But this would be game changing, to say the least, if that happens. And Tony's here. I wanted Tony on my show last week. It wasn't able to happen, but he's here now. So I talked to him a little bit backstage, and I want him to give his analysis on that. It's a huge deal. This isn't, listen, man, this isn't your normal run-of-the-mill conspiracy nonsense that will sit. This is real. It's going to affect everyone here in this country. It's going to affect everyone around the world. It's a literal change it's a literal new world order, what's going on now. I'm going to turn it over to Tony. This is his area, and then we'll get Don's take. But Tony, I'm very concerned about this. And you've been talking about this for a long time, for years, about where this is headed. But to see this type of action taken, it's economic warfare. The United States has been weaponizing the dollar for a long time, and it's incredible to see it flipped. And it speaks to either the massive incompetence, the stupidity, or recklessness, or maybe a combination of all three of this current government, to not know the vulnerabilities, or at least not care about them, of going to war with Iran and causing the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, right? And this has been gamed out many times. This is nothing new. I am not an expert in any of this, and I knew that was a thing because it's nothing new. You read about it, right? Experts talk about it. It's been a thing for a long time. You've spoken about it, Tony. But to see Iran turn around and do this, it was very alarming to me, and it could expedite things 10,000 times, 100,000 times, in my opinion. What's up, Tony?
Well, I think you're right. It's no small thing. It doesn't surprise me. I think this has been the trend for a very long time, really accelerating in 2022 when we put the sanctions on Russia after they invaded Ukraine. That had a blowback effect. The ruble fell and then regained its stability by the Kremlin linking, at least in rhetoric, to gold and trading crude for gold and things like that. It rebalanced the ruble, and the dollar went from 56% of usage worldwide in financial transactions from 2022 to 2024. It went from 56 to about 43, and I think we're in the high 30s right now for world usage of dollars. And to explain the petrodollar, it's 1974 was the agreement that we made with the Saudis and other OPEC nations. It's basically this: we didn't have a dollar backed by gold anymore, so Kissinger and the powers that be decided to do this deal in 74 so that we would have some sort of stability for the dollar. And they would only denominate any sort of crude oil, in dollars. If you went to go buy on the world market through OPEC, you would be using dollars, and that's what's known as the petrodollar. In 2024, the agreement just lapsed. We didn't fight for it. We didn't try to renew it. There was no nuance. There's no extensions. There was no nothing, just a quiet gone. And I thought that was a red flag of some sort. There's a question mark hanging over. What does that mean? Does that mean we don't want the petrodollar, which would be disastrous, by the way? And it may be a part of the overall great reset, creative destruction, controlled demolition, whatever the hell we're doing right now. Because you're right. And it's funny. I'll have to tell the story later if we have time. I pissed off some boomers this week speaking at a Rotary Club meeting. And you mentioned Are they just stupid? And I was quoting James Forrestal, and I did the whole James Forrestal Iran linkage thing that I've talked about before. But James Forrestal being the first Secretary of Defense who was pushed out of a window at Bethesda Naval Hospital, and he's the one that told Joe McCarthy if they were just stupid, then every once in a while they'd err in our favor, but they never do. So I think that this is a part of a plan that is happening right now. It's a script. Because the other alternative to that is that they are doing it on thinking that they're doing the right thing, which that seems so far-fetched to me, because every move that we're making right now is killing the dollar. Yep. Weaponization of tariffs and using that as weaponizing the dollar is hurting the dollar. Losing the petrodollar is hurting the dollar. The war on Iran that we're taking right now on behalf of Israel is hurting the dollar, because not just the dollar usage, Billy, but you look at these countries that are going to have to dump treasuries now in order to buy oil. So a lot of the dollars propped up through other countries buying U.S. treasuries, buying U.S. debt, holding that, looking at the return that they'll get. Well, if you're not liquid, or if you have to produce, pay more to produce energy, you have to liquidate your holdings. A lot of that happened to gold. Gold had its worst week since the 1980s in the past 10 days. Now, I think that it'll bounce back again. It'll be over 5,000. And not in the distant future either. It'll be sooner than later. But that's because these countries and other entities were dumping gold to buy oil, because it's going to be so much more costly. The Strait of Hormuz and everything that's happening there was an article by Martin Armstrong that I read on my show, and it just went into detail about how difficult it would be to hold the Strait of Hormuz. And you're talking about you cannot do it with air power alone. You couldn't do it with sea power alone. The proximity of Iranian missiles and other things that they have stockpiles of, and we've only hit about at least 75% of the storage that the Iranians have for their missiles and drones. We've only hit in the entrances to these tunnels and caves. We're not able to take them completely out. So they'd be able to, with impunity, fire missiles and drones and blow stuff up for a long, long time. They have a lot of armament. So to say that this is an easy fix or any of this is going to benefit the dollar, no, they're going to start trading in more and more in the petro yuan.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that the yuan takes over as the world's reserve currency. It'll probably be a basket of things. I think gold, once it's tokenized in another way, or Bitcoin or something like that. But the dollar is definitely in its death throes, and it doesn't mean it's going to die tomorrow. It just means that, if you are saving in dollars, you are already losing this game. And this is not your father's or your mom's dollar or your grandpa's for sure. This is completely different, and you're watching the death of a world's reserve currency, and not even World War III will save it, folks. It is destined to be replaced by something, much like the British pound sterling was destined to be replaced by something, and that was replaced by the dollar. We're in a fourth turning, and I don't know the logic here of our leaders, but we're definitely seeing the death of institutions. And one of the main institutions that came out of 1944 in the last fourth turning, which was the Bretton Woods Conference, was the dollar, and that institution is dying.
Don, what's up? What are your thoughts?
Well, I don't pretend to know what, as much about this as Tony does, but I think it's part of a larger picture. I think that, again, America is, when you've turned into the world's wealthiest banana republic, as we have, and we just keep getting bananier and bananier as we go. We're just completely collapsing everywhere. You lose respect, and I think that Iran is, it's basically like it's a David and Goliath story in some way. Iran is not backing down to us. The first one of these not little countries. It's big, large wise, but in terms of compared to us, in terms of military power, we typically go to war with these countries that really we should easily defeat. We never see it, but they're the first ones really to stand up to us, and they're not backing down. They're not, and they don't seem to care what happens necessarily to their country. They're in it for keeps. This is a bigger story where, and they know they're doing great damage to us, even they may never win, but they're doing great damage to us by being there. So I think the rest of the world is saying that. You already saw Europe. Nobody in Europe said, I guess maybe France. All the rest of them said, "Go f off" when Trump wanted them to join in. Everybody's saying no to us now. And it's easy. Part of it is Trump's, declining mental health, whatever the hell he's got going on there. It's hard to take him seriously. But so I think that the dollar is looked at as, that represents us, and we're dying into. I think they're looking for something different now. That's on the surface. Now, if you look at all these things, always have a reason. I think they don't just happen. There's no randomness, as Tony mentioned and Mr. Forrestal said. But I think that this could be the digital currency that we all fear. I think this could be paving the way for that. If the dollar dies, that somehow they're going to transition to that. I'm not an expert on how it's done, and we don't want that. Obviously, that's what all of us fear. But we know they want it. So I'm worried about that. But we should be worried about everything, because this is what is happening now is unprecedented. It does look like everything's being collapsed on purpose. I've called Trumpenstein an actor. I think he's an actor. I don't know that he's acting at this point. If he is, like I said before the show, he's an Academy Award winner, because he looks for all the world like he has completely lost it. And again, he's 79 years old. We already saw with Biden. Biden had dementia, clearly. So we've had two presidents in a row probably that had dementia, which what does that say about us? It's ridiculous. But in Trump's dementia is more dangerous than Biden's was. Biden just didn't know where he was, and he was shaking hands with the other. Trump is still trying to do stuff.
Agreed.
And he's just making an idiot out of himself. Biden was insulated and protected better. Trump is not. They can't control him. So whoever's issuing those, I don't think it's Trump. Maybe it is. But whoever's issuing those ridiculous, Truth Social things that just are increasingly deranged, and talked about him having it's fun to kill Iranians and all these kind of things that nobody's ever said before. No political leader. They may have thought them. But so it's very dark times, and again, I'm no expert on the petrodollar and the American dollar, propping up the world currency, but that appears to be changing. But I think it's symptomatic of a larger thing that we're still this world superpower. But if you look at somebody like China doesn't expend money on this kind of nonsense. They don't go to war anywhere. They build their own infrastructure. They may be controlling their people, but I don't know how many people in Substack that I hear from that have lived in China or are living in China, and every single one of them sings the praises and claims life there is much better. Now, I don't know. It didn't seem from anything we've heard, but I know they're a cleaner society. They put their resources into their infrastructure and things that could help the people they're still controlling them. Here, we've done none of that. And you can see it's never been more obvious. It's glaring when you see what we're doing. What I think my last Substack, I read somewhere that we're spending like $21 million a second in Iran. I mean, that's absolute insanity. And we have people living on the streets. We have all this. When they opened the door supposedly to mass deportations, and they just kind of left it there, and now they've got ICE agents at airports, and I don't even know what they're doing at this point. We've got a huge mess here. We've got the Epstein files floating around that nobody will talk about, that's been distracted from. Tremendous corruption everywhere. The left-right paradigm's being shattered. And I think a lot of the reason the world may be looking at this too is that this, it's a Zionist, anti-Zionist thing now. And I don't know if you guys heard about that. There was a very high-ranking politician woman, good-looking woman in Spain, that came right out and said, "Hey, the world has to do something about Israel. They're going to destroy the world if we don't." And I think you're going to see more and more countries doing that, because it took me a long time. Much as I studied this stuff, I hadn't thought about the Samson option. I wasn't even really sure. This kind of didn't pay attention to it. Now that I know what that is, that this insane country has said, "Hey, if we feel threatened, we're going to blow up as much of the world as we want. That's our right as a Samson option. And we don't want to give weapons. We're concerned about Iran having them, or North Korea, or any other country in the world. Does any other country have a Samson option?" That's who we're fighting for. And we're over there because of this literally insane group that is running them. And I think the rest of the world sees that. Nobody is betrothed to Israel like we are. So I think that's part of all this, But again, I'm no expert on the currency, but I think that's all part of it.
And I'm far from an expert on any of this. Far from, But the thing is, if you're paying attention, you don't have to be an expert to know that this shit is going south very quickly. That's why I wanted Tony's perspective, because Tony lives in this world. But when somebody's ill, right? You don't have to be a doctor to know that something's up. So that's the situation right now. Very dangerous, and most of the alternative media knows something about the world reserve currency and what that's meant for the United States, but I don't think they're appreciating how grave this situation currently is. I don't think they're doing the subject any justice by concentrating on other things when this is staring us in the face right now. It's not good. This is not good. Regardless of that, you spoke about Donald Trump, and you spoke about him losing it, whatever he had left to lose. And I agree with you. Whatever he had left to lose, he's lost it. He's completely on another level of deranged, psychopathic behavior. But CPAC, right? I think it was. Tony, do you have the clip up?
Yeah, let me pull that up real quick.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, who was the buffoon that was talking at CPAC? I don't know who it was. I'll turn it over to you real quick, Tom.
Yeah, this is Zero Hedge. We were talking off air this morning. I thought this was great. It was Matt Schlapp, chairman of the American Conservative Union, found himself in an awkward spot at this year's CPAC in Dallas on Friday. While attempting to rally the crowd, Schlapp asked, "How many of you would like to see impeachment hearings?" And the audience erupted in cheers. This is at CPAC. And I like to see when their paradigm starts to collapse, which is CPAC and the conservative movement, which is a hollow husk of an abomination. Let me play the clip real quick. And again, this is Zero Head, CPAC shocker, Dallas crowd cheers for Trump impeachment hearings.
How many of you would like to see impeachment hearings? No, that was the wrong answer. Let me try it again. How many of you would like to see impeachment hearings? No.
Is that Kash Patel back there?
Yeah, I can't hear the cheering.
Yeah, no, I know. We've got to keep this House majority. How many of you agree with that?
Ooh,
how many of you
got to keep
would
it
like
red, Billy?
No, it was definitely audible in the first time he asked me. They were like, yeah, I didn't want to see. That is Kash Patel back there, right? Is that
no? It's a Kash Patel lookalike. He got third place.
You know how my eyes are super bad, so I can't tell. But damn it, that's the type of energy I want. People need to realize all of this, and they are to a degree. That doesn't mean that we agree on anything. Most of these people still believe in Americans have been propagandized for a long, long time. All of us, right? So people are going to believe what they're going to believe, but at least they're seeing that this guy needs to go. And this is in CPAC. People cheering, okay? This is in CPAC, so let's keep this energy. Remember this when 2026 comes around, well, November, and people are yelling fraud. Remember that. Remember what happened at CPAC, okay? Cheering. And let me just say this before you go. This person, I don't know who this guy is from a hole in the wall. Asking a stupid ass question like that, it really failing to read the room, like completely out of touch with reality, to ask a question like that and expect a different answer. Given how MAGA, and there is no conservative, there's no conservative movement, there's no conservative party. It does not exist. We need a new one. because the Republicans are not conservative. They don't know what it is to be conservative. This is MAGA. MAGA is something completely different. So any true conservatives out there, I'd love for you to come back. I'd love it. I'm not a conservative. I'd love for the conservatives to come back and take power. Somebody that's reasonable, that I can talk to, that understands things rather than what we have now. All right, so conservatives, please show up. I'd love for that, but that's not what we have. This is MAGA, and MAGA is pissed. The people of MAGA are pissed because this guy lied to them. I thought it was an obvious lie. I thought people would recognize that, but they didn't, and it doesn't matter. They're recognizing it now. So beautiful. I loved it. That was fantastic. It was my clip of the week. Tony, what's up?
Well, I think Don would probably attest to this, but conservatism used to be the home of intellectualism as far as like politics were concerned. You would read people like Russell Kirk or Pat Buchanan and many others. I mean, some of the, like if you subscribe to the American Conservative magazine, like there was some really thought-provoking articles, and they were mostly anti-establishment and they were traditionalist. And the conservative movement always had to contest with its evil twin, this like imposter, kind of like if you have a nightmare of a doppelganger, that it's evil. That's what the conservative movement had to contend with for so long. And that's with people like Bill Kristol and the Weekly Standard and all the neocons and all of these people that were hell-bent on some sort of other agenda, just hijacking like parasitically whatever the traditionalist movement was. That's all. Everything is completely destroyed now, though. I mean, the injection of Trump and MAGA and whatever that means anymore has completely fractured everything, and it's all over the place. So you're going to find that there is no coalition anymore. And I think this is very healthy on a long enough timeline if people draw the right conclusions and see what really happened. And what happened was over time, you get the AIPAC and Israeli influence. And if you were on the right or a conservative commentator, and who owns the stations, and just like I've been part of conservative media, I understand it. There is a line to be towed, and that's all coming apart. I mean, even look at the Babylon Bee. Has anybody noticed the Babylon Bee like pushing back against people who clearly are, objectively don't want these ties to like Benjamin Netanyahu or the Israeli war machine, or like Don talked about, like, I don't want to chain myself to the Samson option, all this stuff. And it's not anywhere near what it used to be. Like there used to be this unspoken galvanizing force that kept the conservative movement in check, which I always thought it made it inert, which was the purpose of it. It was only used as a vehicle, but that whole thing they've pushed it way too hard, and now it's completely exposed. So yes, I think so many people feel betrayed, and rightly so. And it's only getting started. Like this is only the beginning. This is only the people that are like really paying attention. Wait till it, it costs twice as much or 3 times as much to fill up your gas tank, or that, items are missing off the food shelf, or, hey, there's a draft coming up and, little Billy's got to go over and fight and die for Israel. Like this is not going to go well.
Not little Billy. No.
Not little Billy.
We're not doing that.
I'm not allowing it. We're gonna send you to Canada.
What's up, my Canucks?
By the way, I told when I spoke this week, I did David Knight, and then did my show, and I went and did the Rotary Club. And there's great folks there at the Rotary Club, but there were some people I made mad. And I talked about our hidden history of U.S.-Iran relations and Operation Ajax and all of that, the overthrowing of Mossadegh. But I talked about, I said, hey, the draft age has been raised to 42, so there's still time. You can get in this thing, the age cutoff, if you're really for it.
Let's go. And Don has talked about it many times, and I think it's absolutely true. If you voted for these pieces of crap, if you thought it was a good idea to put these deranged lunatics in power, you should be the first. Fuck that. You should be the only ones to go. I don't want to have anything to do with this shit. Not me, not my family, not anyone I love. Screw that. You did this, you go. You believe in this, if you support this, go and fight. Take your grandmother with you. I don't care who it is. Leave me out of it. Because I don't want war. I don't want war with anyone. And I didn't vote for any of that. I didn't vote for any of these people as a result of that. Being in New York, I'm shielded from a lot of this because, there's only several states that decide a presidential election, in reality, the swing states, they decided. New York is going to vote Democrat. That's it. So it is what it is, but I didn't vote. I couldn't vote for Kamala Harris because of her stance on and what the Biden administration had done towards Palestine. I couldn't do it. But I'll tell you what, if I was in Pennsylvania, I'd have got up and voted for Kamala Harris. I'd have done it because we would have ended up here where we are right now. So any of you that decided to vote for this crap, that supports this nonsense, you go to war. I don't want to go to war. I don't want my kids to go to war. Stay away from me. That's the way we should do this. If you voted for this, you're going to war. And any of the people that are actively pushing and trying to do this, like Stephen Miller and his family, they go to war. Freaking Pete Hegseth, his punk ass needs to be in the front lines. He won't come back, because they'd probably take care of him fairly quickly if he went over there. But his punk ass needs to be in the front line, and the rest of his family, his wife, all of them. That's the way I'm handling this crap because they're easy and very quick to send us all to war with no problem. Lindsey Graham talking his nonsense. Oh yeah, let's go to war. He's not going. We go. That shit ain't cool. I'm not with it. Go ahead, Tony, finish up.
Well, I mean, the absence of any clear thinking is, it's all a demonic energy you find from people like Lindsey Graham. And I appreciate whoever the lawmaker was. I think they was just introduced. They were going to propose a bill that Lindsey Graham must go to deployment if the war continues, and Lindsey Graham has to be sent, something like that. Those kind of comic relief moments
don't ask, don't tell, Lindsey Graham. Just don't ask, don't tell, dude.
Just get him over there. Yeah, he can sip some wine. We'll give him a little bit of wine before he goes over. Lady G, we can put a monogrammed parachute out for him.
Right.
Drop him right in.
Fantastic. All right. Don Jeffrey's thoughts.
No, it's certainly make good points, obviously, but things have changed. We're seeing the left-right paradigm is dying. It's once I don't know why they're on, but I tell you, I've been studying this stuff for a long time, and Zog and Zionism was a big part of this, but it was never mentioned in polite society. It's being mentioned all the time now. Candace Owens talks about it all the time. Tucker Carlson talks about it. People that never talked about it, and obviously lots of other podcasters do. Once you reveal this stuff, once you start, you see, a hashtag noticing, we're noticing. You're noticing this stuff, how much power Israel and Zionism has. Once you can't put that back in a closet. So now it's very obvious when you see the rift in the MAGA. MAGA now is Lindsey Graham and Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin. People that were all never Trumpers. Every one of them hated Trump with his initial rhetoric. So that's what Trump, I guess, thinks MAGA is, because he's obviously the biggest phony of all. All the people that supported him are gone. I don't know on the surface, you've got evangelicals and everything, but this has broken the right, and it's probably ensured. Yeah, I think voting is rigged anyhow, but if it isn't rigged, the Democrats should sweep both houses, because the Republicans not only have to deal with Trump, but they're completely divided, the voters. So you have some voters that are still Jack Steve-Barrett. I saw. Well, Jack Steve-Barrett, I wasn't going to post the one where you blamed me for everything. You said, listen to the boomer who sat there and let it all happen. It's like, I was talking about this stuff 50 years ago, dude. And I voted accordingly. So, yes, I voted for Trump when he first came out, because the hell I wasn't going to vote for Hillary Clinton. And I was hoping maybe his rhetoric was right, but the 99% of boomers didn't let anything happen. Maybe the people ones with the power did, of course. But so that's where we are now. I don't know where it's going. I don't know why they're letting all this stuff happen. Candace Owens, especially, is a case study, and I don't know. She is beyond what David Duke was at this point. I'm telling you, if you watch her show, she's gonna start talking about the Holocaust. She's already starting to do it. And when that happens, it's all going to break apart, because nobody's talked about this before. And the problem is any of these sacred cows of Zionism, they can't hold up to debate. Zionism can't be intellectually defended. That's why you see Ted Cruz and Mike Huckabee and people like that. They can't debate it. It's impossible. Candace Owens has ripped a bunch of rabbis to shreds when she debated them. It can't be debated. You can't debate on the premise that you're obviously saying you're superior, because that's what they're doing. And so it's easy to, and you also can't debate on the premises that your country deserves to be there because God gave it to you thousands of years ago, and the people that are there shouldn't object. They should just go somewhere else. And that's not a winning argument. You can't win it. So that's where we are now. And I don't know what's going to come out of it. I don't know why it's being allowed to be discussed, but you can see all the Jewish celebrities, they're all being triggered. You've seen John Stewart, John Leibowitz is his real name, waving his arms, going crazy, trying to make Iranian jokes, and the audience just looking at him, kind of like that CPAC crowd. It's just stupid. Bill Maher, who's supposedly half Jewish. I don't know. His other side's supposed to be Catholic, but again, just saying, if you expect me to criticize Iran, no, we don't expect you. My old friend Naomi Wolf, listening to her, I don't think she'll be writing forwards to any more of my books. This is triggering. It's triggering everyone, and everybody's seeing it because it's irrational. Look, why can't you debate this irrationally? But they can't, because it can't be debated. I think that's going to be, and especially as this Iran war drags on, because it's not going to get any better. There's nothing that can happen over in Iran for the United States that could and Jackson Barrett's bad mouthing the audio too. Well, you keep listening, so that's good. But,
what's up, Jackson? How you doing, bro?
God, I thought I was your boy. But
it depends on the week. I've learned, I'm the expert at this. It depends week to week. Things can change as far as perception goes. So don't take it personally, Don. It's cool.
Yeah, okay. I haven't had anybody complain about my connection lately. I don't know. So anyhow, but that's
welcome to the club. At least I'm not alone.
Yeah. So, well, I can't. I don't know if you're still supporting Trump. I don't know how anybody can do that at this point. So you have to say it like it is. But it's be interesting times. But I think at this point, I don't know what the end game is. But we are trapped in a quagmire like we've never been. This could be way worse than Vietnam, because you've got somebody, as long as Trump is president.
Yeah.
Because you've got this crazy ego or whatever he's got. He's never going to come home with his tail between it. He's going to have to devise some kind of reason why they got out. And I don't think Iran's going to let him do that. It looks like Iran is saying, no, we're going to keep doing what we're doing. And the gas prices are going to keep going up. The stock market's going to keep going down. People are noticing that stuff, and they know why we're there. We're not there for any Rachel Maddow, the Gulf states. We're there for one reason only. We're there for Israel, and that can't be hidden, and it can't be justified. So at least it will give us lots to talk about. Let's hope we can all survive economically.
Oh, let's hope, man. Tone, I think I know what you're gonna play.
I was good to see if you guys want to run this clip, this YouTuber that took on Erica Kirk. Did you see that?
I saw
play
it.
I've seen it.
You want me to play it? Okay.
Yeah. I think that's the one I think seen.
It's one of the funniest things I've seen in a long time.
Get on your feet, boy!
It's so not far from the truth.
War is raging in Iran.
We're praying for all the soldiers and troops.
That's great that you're praying, but
how about all the kids that died when the USA hit the towers?
It broke my heart. That is the
ways have you grown closer to Jesus?
I serve a righteous God. And that is why we say our prayers. And we are all his children.
Those
But when I
eyes.
say children, I mean like the holy, blessed Trinity, which is why I hold the Bible.
All right. I just had to put that up. That was a little bit of cultural sampling from this week.
That's Drewski. He's hilarious. And yeah, that's spot on a lot of times. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but there's a lot of wrestling memes about Erica Kirk when she comes out at any of her events, because there's fireworks and all this stuff. It's like Monday Night Raw. She comes out, everybody's like freaking losing it. You know, there's fireworks and pyro and all this sort of stuff. So yeah, man, that's all of it. All of it is a disaster. Look at who was it that recently passed away? Former FBI director. He was the FBI director under 9/11.
Mueller.
Here's Mueller, right? And Trump was like, "I'm glad he's dead."
Yeah,
I'm glad he's dead. He should be dead, and nobody said anything. And then, but then when they were quick to attack these people that were making fun of Charlie Kirk when Charlie Kirk died. You know, what's the difference here? Why aren't you attacking Donald Trump for saying that nonsense? You know, whether or not you like Mueller or not is a different story, right? That was the same thing that was preached, whether or not you like Charlie Kirk. And I agree with that. Whether or not you like Charlie Kirk, you shouldn't. I didn't like Charlie Kirk. I didn't want him to get his brains blown out in front of his kids, right? Like who wants that? This is craziness. But the same token here, and it's like, yeah, I'm glad he's dead. Yeah, and nobody holds him accountable to anything. But anyway, Drewski is hilarious. Erica Kirk is considered to be very disingenuous by a lot of people, you know, and that's part of the collapse of this whole thing, you know, is her role in all of this. And people are expecting her to run for president or be the vice president of the United States.
She's the female Stephen A. Smith.
Oh,
yeah.
Nothing about her.
I agree.
A big lie.
I am not a fan.
I think it was in with like 100 hours of the event. Somebody had already got the domain Vance Kirk 2028.
Right. Yeah, no, you're right. And I wouldn't be surprised if that happened, even though, I mean, JD Vance is Peter Thiel's guy, and that's who they want to be in power ultimately. You know, is JD Vance. I don't think he can pull it off, but who knows? Never underestimate the stupidity of the American public. So I don't know. It could very well happen. What is it? Marco Rubio shouldn't be able to sniff the Oval Office. Never underestimate the stupidity of the American public to put some guy like that in the Oval Office. It won't. So I'm not ruling it out, but it shouldn't happen. Now I do want to put out a warning. What time do we have? We still have a few minutes. I want to play Trump talking about sex. Literally, we'll play that real quick. But I do want to talk about this guy, Professor Jungs or Juing. I don't know. I can't make out his name. I don't know what it is. He's been on Tucker Carlson. He's all over the place talking about, you know, because he predicted that Trump would be president, and he predicted that there would be an Iran war, and he's also predicting World War III and the end of America. Beware, something Tony said. And I forgot what that was, but he just said it, reminded me of it. But anyway, this guy is actively talking about people blowing up the Al-Aqsa Mosque in you know, and if they ever do that, it's the end of the world if that ever happens. He's actively pushing that. He's actively talking about it in the mainstream. It's like, I don't know why this guy's famous. It might be my conspiracy theory hat, because nothing of what he's saying is new, but it's been pushed all over the place. It's like a priming of some sort, you know, to get people ready for something. And he keeps pushing that and talking about the return of Christ via the Antichrist, and that they're going to make it happen. That they're going to make it happen. A self-fulfilling prophecy. It's a very scary situation when you, because it is happening. You see it. You know, whether it will result in the return of Christ, I highly doubt that. But you see them trying, and these are the people that we have in power. And now we got this buffoon who who is just regurgitating information is being pushed into the mainstream. Big problem in my opinion. All right, let me play this clip of Donald talking about you can talk to him about sex. This was this week, bro. This is what he's talking about in press conferences, whenever he's being asked questions by the press. He's talking about this shit. He said you can ask him anything. Don't ask him about Epstein though, but you can ask him anything. Look at this real quick.
Everybody very much, and I'm asked to take a few questions. And unlike other politicians, they would like the questions screened. I don't ask for screening of the questions. You can ask me anything you want. You can talk sex. You can do whatever the hell you want. I'm here for you.
Now, who wants to ask Donald Trump about sex? Who is so interested in Donald Trump's sex life? Well, besides the crap that he did in Epstein Island, and he doesn't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Right? He doesn't want to. But to go a step further here and piggyback on what Don was saying earlier, there is something seriously wrong with Donald Trump. He's lost the plot. He is gone to talk about something like this. He's the president of the United States. That still means something, right? I mean, I don't know. But Tony, what's up?
I don't think it means anything anymore.
It should, Tony.
I think I was supposed to. I mean, it should be a solemn duty to try to unite people. If you think about that sort of rhetoric about, oh, I'm glad he's dead. I mean, that is, I can't even find a frame of reference for that in history of somebody who's ascended that far that speaks like that. I mean, it's unless you're talking, and even some of the most brutal dictators would try to hide that side of themselves, or the glee, the Schadenfreude, of someone else passing away or losing or suffering or something. That is really troublesome. I don't know that the office means what it's supposed to mean anymore, and I don't know how that bodes well for us. But I think we get the people we deserve. I think you mentioned that professor. I forget how to pronounce his name. I've seen him before. I know what you're talking about, and that is reaching more and more into the collective consciousness, which may be the point. Like we're talking about it now, but so many into the worlders. It's funny to me. Think of, first of all, like, not that these people would do that, but if you would sit for 2 or 3 minutes and ask yourself, so the one thing that God needs is my help. Like, think about that. Like, think of how the arrogance that God needs me to hurt someone, or God needs me to take out this temple so we can, start sacrificing animals again, and that Messiah will come, or the Antichrist will come, whatever, To the Christians, the evangelicals and the Zionists, they believe that they can help usher in the third temple, and that will bring in, instead of Mashiach for the Jews, it'll be the Antichrist, and then we can have Armageddon, and millions upon millions we'll have mega death everywhere, and that'll help bring Jesus back. And think of the psychopathy of that. It's like, crazy. If you really just sit and think with it, like, first of all, there would be something that man made. And if you think that and second of all, if you're worshiping a God you think that just likes to liquidate people, or you need to do some ritual, kill millions so you can usher in, that's a sickness. But I think self-fulfilling prophecy, there's no God in any of this.
Agreed.
There's only darkness. And whatever you're building, and I've thought this since I was a kid, that I called it the end of the world industrial complex, just selling books, it's left behind. All this shit that is just total nonsense. It doesn't make the world a better place. It comes out of a place of cowardice too. Like, because you get especially as a modern Christian, if you read the Scofield Bible or you fell for the Luciferian John Darby, you're like, well, I just got to promote this nation, this physical nation state, and then I'll be raptured out of this thing. So I got to get out of Armageddon free card.
Right.
So it's all bad, and even that, and even the tech wizards on the other side. Like Peter Thiel's giving conferences on the Antichrist. They want to see something like that, and it has to do with the rebuilding of the temple It's like, and because I've always thought the Antichrist, it would be some sort of AI, because nothing's more anti-Christ than a machine. It's not hate is not the opposite of Jesus. It's indifference. It's calculating bureaucracy is the indifference to humanity. And that's what an AI would do. So they will make it. It won't be spiritual. It won't be, because it won't be part of God's plan or anything like that. It'll be, fat people like Hagee, this, out of touch dumbass that thinks that everything revolves around Israel. And, somebody down like he's a pastor down in South Texas, and everything is so idolatry centered around, is the nation state of Israel and Armageddon. Instead of talking about what Jesus said or what he did or what he stood for, we don't talk about that anymore. It's all prophecy and horse shit to sell books.
Man, the comment section is very funny today. People are being very funny in the comment section. I love it. Don, last closing thoughts, sir.
Yes, really. I think that, Tony brings up the point. Again, what we're saying, this is all part of it too. The Schofield Bible, the evangelical Christians that are front and center. And if Donald Trump didn't have them, I don't know, his support would be maybe 10%. I don't know. I mean, that's his base now that's still supporting him, because they want what's happening. And again, how do you deal with people when you have a substantial, I don't know how substantial, but you have a significant part of your population that wants Armageddon, that is excited about it? How do you possibly have peace there when they want it to happen? They think it has to fulfill biblical prophecy. They believe all these awful things that, again, they're reading out of the book of Revelation. As a Catholic, we never read any of that stuff. You remember about the end of the world is, Jesus saying, I'm going to come like a thief in the middle of the night. No man will know the time. But these people think they know exactly, there's going to be, after a biblical generation after the creation of the state of Israel, which was supposed to be in the 80s back then, people in the Reagan, and then they recalculated because it didn't happen. So they said, well, now technically it was actually a biblical generation. So now it should be in the 2020s. So it's just stupid making these kind of predictions, and unfortunately, this is where we're at. And ironically, we're supposed to have a separation of church and state. We have a separation of real Christianity and state, because clearly there's a whole hell of a lot of this Talmudic Judaism that controls our society. I mean, something like that, where somebody's a group of people are allowed to take a country because God told them, granted them that 2,000 years ago? Can you imagine? Just imagine if, I don't know, some Hindu group somewhere said that their God told them that they're supposed to have Rhode Island. I don't know, would we let that happen? I mean, it's just stupid. And again, it's one rule for them, and everybody's seeing that now. And it doesn't hold up to scrutiny, and that's why you're seeing so much hysteria. And we talked about Erica Kirk. It's coming out in there too, because they're terrified of anything being disclosed about Charlie Kirk's murder of Erica Kirk, because obviously there was something to do with Israel there, because Charlie Kirk left tons of messages on the record that hey, I've changed my mind on Israel. I don't know if this is the right way. I've been getting lots of threats. They're desperate. The same suspects. This guy, Joe Kidd, who is that? Joe Kidd was a Democrat. He's not any kind of radical figure at all. But because he said that the FBI wouldn't allow him to look into some of these questions about the Charlie Kirk murder, they're ready to string him up. They're calling him Laura Loomer and Mark. All these usual suspects are calling him traitor. They're calling Tucker Carlson a traitor because he talked to some Iranians. And that, the penalty for treason is death. I mean, these people are nuts. It's all because of this arch Zionism. So I hope we continue to talk about it, because they can't. You're not going to find a debate where somebody that's knowledgeable about this can lose to any of these Zionists, because it's an indefensible position and it runs our society. And I'm glad we're finally saying Zog, because it used to be whispered in the dark corners of the world. Now Candace Owens and all these people are out there and say, we are occupied. So you worry about being invaded and occupied by illegal immigrants. We are occupied by a group within our midst, a very small group that has inordinate power. And I think all politics now is revolving around this. We're seeing a huge change. And I don't know why. I don't know why they're letting it happen. But we'll see where it goes.
Shouts to John Brissom. John Brissom says that term originates out of white nationalism.
It does. That's where it came.
He would know. He was involved in that world for some time. So he has thoughts on it. Shouts to him. I can't speak for him. I don't remember exactly what he said, but he told me in a conversation we were having. So there's that. All right. I'm gonna stay on for about 10 extra minutes, guys. But Tone, tell the people where they can find you, sir. And glad to have you back, sir. Thank you.
It's good to be back. Tony.gold is my website. Just type in Tony.gold. You can go and find my podcast. Most of the links to my businesses, I'm working on that site right now as well. So anything related to Wise Wolf or Wolfpack or anything, gold and silver, Bitcoin, you know where to find me.
Yeah, fantastic. Tony Arterburn, a jewel, a gem of a human being, ladies and gentlemen. Go if you want your gold and silver needs met, especially now that you can buy on the dip, right? Things are down now. Tony, you said?
Yeah, it's on sale. There's been a lot of liquidation because of Operation Epstein Fury and the rising price of crude oil.
Well, now's the time because it's going to go back up. This is not financial advice.
It's the funniest thing, you know, when a currency is not backed by anything, loses value, gold and silver go up. I mean, who'd have thought it?
Who'd have thought?
Who'd have thought? Real commodities in the face of fiat go up.
So you know, do yourself a favor and go do that and support Tony and his work. Like I said, I can't say enough good things about Tony. So go over there and do your thing.
Thank you,
Mr. Don Jeffrey, the legendary. Also, somebody asked me something about you. I forget who it was, but I was like, Don is the nicest guy in the world. It's really tough to get Don pissed off. Also, you know, respect the hell out of Don. Tell the people what's up, sir.
I appreciate it. I wanted to tell Tony he is the gold standard of the alt media right now. So we are, which be his new nickname. But yeah, no, I wanted to shout. I think RB Ham is in the chat. Very special appearance tonight on Beyond the Pale. I think it's 7 p.m. Eastern. And RB, tweet out something so I can share it on X. But I'm very honored to be a guest with Sabby Sabs. You know, Sabby Sabs got a huge show, and you know, so I'm gonna be there saying my stuff. So it'll be very cool. I'm sure we'll be discussing all the typical stuff. So that's 7 p.m. Eastern on RB Ham's Beyond the Pale Rumble channel. You can look at the links on my social media, and I find it by going to Beyond the Pale and Rumble. But
who's Sabby Sabs?
She's got a huge show. Sabby, her name's like Sabby Sistitelli or something. I don't know, but she's Robin Lee said, "Oh, Robin, you're pretty nice yourself. Thank you." But no, she's got a huge show. She's I know she's got a lot of following. RB is getting these guys. You know, he gets these bigger names. So I'm very happy that he's including me along with it. But other than that, Substack is the only place that being Shadowban DonaldJeffries@substack.com. I protest. Just like my podcast here every Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern. My books are out there everywhere, so easy to find stuff.
All right. Fantastic, brother. I'll look forward to RB Ham's show. Take it easy. Go ahead. Do your thing, brother. I'm going to stay on for a little while longer.
Okay, man.
I'm going to
Thank you.
shout out the chat and
take care, guys.
all right, later, buddy. I'm going to shout out the chat and give people an opportunity to chime in if they want. There goes the link in the chat on YouTube and on X, I think. There it is. It's under Don and Tony's name that it's coming up. But those are strictly on YouTube, I think. I'm not sure, but it's there. If anybody wants to hop in, I'm only going to stay on for about 10 minutes. And I'll shout out the people in the chat here, and I'll talk to the people in the chat over at Rumble. What's going on? How is everybody? And everybody on the podcast. We didn't get any new podcast reviews. Please do that. We like that. It helps the algorithm. It helps push the show and get it to other people that don't know about the show. We didn't upload America Unplugged last week. My fault. But this week it'll get uploaded, maybe 2 episodes, but definitely at least this episode will get uploaded, and we'll talk about that. I'm gonna discuss this Jungs guy. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I haven't even really seen it. But I'm gonna discuss him on Gorilla Underground, and talk about the dangers of this shit. It's very dangerous, and it's very interesting, the timing of it and what they're trying to push. I'm going to play a little bit of it here right now, just in case you're not familiar. But I'm assuming that if you're here, you already know about this guy because he's been all over the place. Like I didn't know about him previous to this, and he's just plastered on my algorithm, which probably says a lot about my algorithm. But he's plastered. He's all over the place. And Tucker Carlson had him on. We'll talk about that. Maybe I'll have Brissom sit with me because a lot of these narratives have been repeated before. In particular, David Icke popularized some of this, so it's stuff I've heard before. So we'll talk about it. Angel Blue in the chat. What is going on? How are you? Always good to see you. I think you said it was everything was serious. I mean, there's been some funny people in the chat posting some funny stuff. Like, yeah, everything is serious, but somebody's here. That's Mr. RB Ham. Hold on. Mr. Ham, how are you?
Hey, how you doing there, Billy Ray?
Good to see you, buddy. What's going on?
Good. I'm just sitting here in my in the living room. I was watching the show on the TV, and yeah, it's a good show today. And yeah, tonight at 7:00 Eastern time on Rumble, and I'm also going live on YouTube. I don't know how long I'll last there.
Do it at this point. What if they kick you off? So what?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So I'm bringing on Sabrina Salvati is her name. She's her YouTube channel, and she's on Rumble. She's everywhere. Her name is Sabby Sabs. She's part of the Black Revolutionary Network, with those people who like Nick Cruz and JB Font, and they kind of have a network of people. They do direct action. They go to the inner cities and help people out with food hampers and all that stuff. They do really good work at the local level. And she's also talks about how this affects the Black community. And they're all about promoting the idea of the workers. And that this is a class issue, right?
It's absolutely a class issue, and that's what we should be concentrating on. I don't know any of the people you mentioned, but I guess I'll see it tonight.
Yeah.
But it's absolutely a class issue. It's not. That's the biggest deal we have to confront. If we don't realize that, we're never going to advance in any sort of way. Finish up your thoughts. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just going to say, if you want, we're going to be looking at the big picture, how this affects everything, and they kind of did the test. They did the test case for this in the COVID era, right? Lockdowns and restrictions and mandates, and how will we do this? So that was kind of like the test, the test for what's coming, because energy lockdowns are coming, and when when you say when food becomes scarce and all that stuff, what are they going to do? Like, how are they going to control the population? Well, if you look at the World Economic Forum and what they've been saying, people got to get ready for an angrier world. They've been talking about this for a long time. You'll own nothing and be happy. The whole thing, it's all been laid out. They know what they're planning to do. They've got the plans laid out. But the problem with these assholes, these masters of the universe who think they're so fucking smart, all these billionaire corporate capitalist motherfuckers that think they can control the world, the best laid plans of mice and men often go awry, and pride cometh before the fall. And for crying out loud, you people, hubris kills. They think they've got this under control, but it's going to spiral out of control. And guess what? When the people finally rise up and say they've had enough, I can see something massive happening. I can see some kind of martial law being trying to be imposed. But when you do that, you can't control it. Look at this. I mean, this has been done before the French Revolution, the Bolshevik Revolution. It's going to backfire in their face, and we have no control over what comes next. That's what's scary, Billy Ray. Because maybe something on the other end, after all the suffering and pain, we'll get back to the idea of a representative republic and the people having some kind of rights, because the Bill of Rights and the Constitution has been destroyed under successive governments, and Trump has completely trashed it. And they're already there's a reason they upped the age of the draft to 42. There's a reason all those ICE agents are deployed, and they're not going to be coming after illegal immigrants. They're going to be coming after people who protest this war. And those ICE detention facilities are going to become holding centers for dissidents against this war. It's coming, and people better wake up.
I certainly wouldn't be surprised if that actually happened. Somebody else is here. I don't. Oh, it's White Wolf. How are you, White Wolf? Greetings to you.
Okay, I totally agree with RB Ham.
Give me a second. White
ISIS
Wolf.
is going to become Trump's Gestapo. I
Give me a
predicted
second,
all
buddy.
of this back in 2024 during the election.
White Wolf, give me a sec. Can you hear me, buddy?
Yeah.
Give me just a second. I want to shout out the chat before anything. Then I'll turn it over to you guys. Give you guys some time, and then we'll get up out of here. It was Kenny Powers. Kenny Powers is in the chat. How are you doing, my guy? Good to see you. Talking about bully. Here we go. I have it here. I'm waiting to stream it. What I've heard so far is fantastic. It's Kanye West at his. I think, reverting back to old school Kanye West. I haven't heard the whole thing, so I don't have a full critique. But what I've heard is really good. I love Kanye. I think he's the greatest of all time. If he didn't, go the route that he had gone, and I know he's very mentally ill. I don't think you make an argument that he's not the greatest of all time. We've read the documents. Is here, my guy. How are you? John Brissom, make sure you check John Brissom at We've Read the Documents over on YouTube. Come on with me Sunday night if you want to talk about this Professor Junks guy or whatever. We spoke about him on Wheezy's show last week, but it'd be interesting to flesh it out, to do a full flesh out of it. So I kind of want to do that. So
his name is Professor. His name is Professor Jang.
Jang,
and he's actually a dual Canadian and Chinese citizen. He went to this, and he got his schooling in Canada. He came over on a visa, or whatever, and went to university in Canada, and then he went to America for a while, and he was at Yale for a year. This guy has connections that are kind of, if you really look at it. You're right. He's not saying anything new, and he's just repeating what all the greats in the conspiracy theory community have been talking about for 20 years. But he's rolled it into a presentation. And you're right. It's like predictive programming. It's meant to happen, and he's the herald for it. And remember, we live in in a one world system already, and their plans are to have China become the new power center on Earth.
My problem with it, RB, is that you said he put it in a presentation, and it's kind of like he's in a classroom or whatever doing what, but I don't see what he's done any different or better than maybe somebody like David Icke. As far as presentation goes. So I don't understand why he's all over my algorithm all of a sudden.
Well, now you do. Just saying that, now you've understood it. He's being pushed, artificially pushed up there to get this into the collective conscious. So when it happens, they go, "Oh, right." But the thing is, he's not independent like David Icke is. That's why they keep David Icke's. They keep him away from anybody. They try to limit the reach of David Icke, because he's talking about stuff beyond just the three senses. He's talking about how this is actually what's going on is much more evil than people think, and we have to fight back at a spiritual level. Professor Jang isn't.
Buddy. I don't mean to interrupt, but I don't have a lot of time, and I want to get White Wolf in here too. So let me just talk. Karen Carpenter's in the chat. How are you, Karen? I can't wait for Knights of the Storm. Ashley was in the chat. What's up, Ashley? I'll be tuning in. And Jason Barker, what's going on? We got Kenny. We got Angel. We've read Brian in the chat. What's going on? How are you? Good. Thank you for tuning in. We've read says bully's horrible. Jesus, I didn't think so, but no, I'll go back and listen. CJ is in the chat. How do you pronounce that guy's name? RB? Professor who? Professor
Jang.
Okay, Professor.
Yeah.
I think
Jiang.
Right. What's up? Let me see who else do we got here. Let me see if I see anybody new. CJ, Jackson T. Barrett, always giving us a hard time. Thank you for being here. Angel Blue, we already discussed. Robin Lee, how are you? Hope everybody's doing well over by you. RB Ham is sitting here with us right now. He figured out how to be two places at once. It's incredible. So has White Wolf, who is here today. We always appreciate White Wolf and his commentary. Keon is in the chat. What's going on? How are you? Hold on. Bebe is in the chat. What's up, Bebe? What's going on? There's a few more, and I'm gonna head over to Rumble. Chris is in the chat. Chris Donaldson, good show. Thank you, buddy. We appreciate it. Let me see. There was a couple of others. If I don't get to you, you know I love you. Okay. Sorry that I didn't see you, but the repeat offenders are over here talking. Twisted is in the chat. What's up, my guy? How are you? Good to see you as usual. Let me see. A couple of other people are out here. Before I go over to Rumble, I think I'm gonna have to go over to Rumble. Ron Helton, what's up, Ron? How are you? Greetings and blessings to you. All right, let me give it a couple more, and then I'm leaving. I don't mean to disrespect. I just gotta go. Guard Goldsmith, what's going on? Always good to see Guard. He joined me last week. Piper Fogel, what's up, Piper? How are you? Always good to see you. Mr. Mandeer, that's my guy. Half man, half deer, all amazing. My favorite chimera. What's going on? What else we got? Chris, we talked about Chris already. All right, I'm about to leave. And that's it. Okay, let me go over to Rumble and see what's up. It's crazy that Ryan Evan in the chat. How are you? What's going on? He asks, let me put this on over here. What does it say? What's BRV crying and whining about today? So you're telling me you're stupid and hard of hearing. Which one is? Have you been listening to the fucking show? You would know what I've been whining about all this time. All right. Love you though. Thank you for tuning in. All right, Rumble. What's going on, Rumble? Let me go over to Rumble real quick and say what's up to the people over there. Harps in fictional Australia. What is going on, my guy? Good to see you. Jason Barker is over there. Narrow Wayne, I think it is. Narrow Way. Yeah, Narrow Way. What's up? How are you? Guard Goldsmith is also over there. Let me see what else. James is over there. James Dean. Smush Hasky. I think that's the way you pronounce it. I don't know. Greg Dubb is over there. Misfit 1904. What's going on? How are you? Greg Dubb, we spoke about him already, and there's a lot of repeat offenders here over and over again. So I think I got everybody. To everybody that's listening, we appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. Nature Boy was in the chat. What's up, Nature Boy? How are you? That's it. All right. Greg. Ryan Bradley. What's up, Ryan? How are you? Hope you had a good time. And that's it. Okay. Oh, Tony. What's up, Tony? Tony Ty. What's going on, my guy? Always good to see you, man. Yeah, hit us up, man, and or hit me up. We'll figure it out. You know, I'll bring you on Gorilla Underground or something. And one time you could sub in on America Unplugged if you want to. All right. And KVA 101 is in the chat. What's going on? Second Wind is in the chat. How are you? All right. Let me go to White Wolf. White Wolf, you have a lot to say. You always have a lot to say. Keep in mind that we got to go. I've already exceeded the 10 minutes. I'm going to go to 1:30 my time. What do you got to say, sir? What's going on?
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, sir.
Okay, well, the Iran war, of course, is all fake and gay. It's just like the Ukraine war, all fake and gay. The Russians
flesh that out. What is fake and what do you mean by fake and gay?
Okay, the Russians, the Iranians, the Ukrainians, Trump, the Vatican, they're all in on it. Okay, it's all run by the 10 kings of the Antichrist. That should be obvious by now, and I can prove that from World War I and World War II because those were all that was all choreographed terror and carnage.
Well, Wolf, I don't know if I agree with you there, sir. I mean, and to call it fake and gay is first off, like, what does that even mean? Like, that's like
it means that it's all theater, it's all fiction, it's all lies.
Like, come on, like, you know, regardless of that,
the carnage is real, but
people are dying. Is it theater? Hold on. Is it theater to the people that are fucking dying, brother? There are people.
Yes.
Are you saying that? Are you saying that all those kids that died? Hold on. Hold on. Let me get my thought, and then I'll let you go. Are you saying that all those people, all those kids that died in that school in Iran, you're saying it's bullshit?
Yeah. They're dying for a narrative.
Dude, they're dead. Whether
Yeah,
they're
I
dead
know
for a
they're dead,
narrative or not,
and
they're dead.
they're going to judgment, and then they're going to their eternal destiny, heaven or hell. Okay, but yeah, because that's what the devil wants. The devil wants us all dead and in hell, and he's the one who rules the world. Okay, because the world has rejected our Lord Jesus Christ. There's only two possibilities. Okay, heaven or hell. There's only two possibilities, except our Lord Jesus Christ, to reject him. Last night, Twisted Pistols and I had a great conversation on Donald Jeffries' I Protest. I hope that gets posted.
It got posted.
Because I was going over why it's all a grand show. Okay, now, are you familiar with Albert Pike's letter that he wrote to Mazzini in 1870?
Yeah, I'm familiar with it. I'm also
Okay.
familiar
Look at the part about World War III. Everything is going right according to the script.
That can't even
Why
be
did Trump kill
brother.
the Shia equivalent of the Pope? Okay, in order to get all the Muslims riled up.
That can't even be verified as an actual true letter. For one, I've been to Albert Pike's grave site. All right, it's in D.C.
I've known about that letter since 1962.
Right.
Okay, it's not an internet farce.
Check this out, White Wolf, and I your perspective is yours to have, right? And that's fine. I just think it minimizes what's actually going on in the world.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't minimize. It goes right down the rabbit hole to the truth. Because what's going on in the world is they're setting up the empire of the Antichrist.
I think
all the prophecy is coming to fruition.
I think your type of thinking is what's got us in this bullshit in the first place.
No,
that type of thinking is we're setting up the throne of the Antichrist. We're doing all of
this. It's the fact that people do not want to acknowledge and follow the laws of our Lord Jesus Christ. Okay, and the Ten Commandments. That's why the world is where it is.
Yeah.
Okay, we are being punished for our sins, just like Sodom and Gomorrah was, just like the world was wiped out in Noah's flood. Okay, the more things change, the more they stay the same.
R.B. Ham, your thoughts, sir?
Oh, well, he's got a point about this all being kind of orchestrated, but yeah, people are dying in horrible, horrible ways. But it's all, I mean, you don't have to go to the spiritual realm to figure that out. I mean, these people are very evil, and they've broadcast what they're going to do, and they've pre-planned what they're going to do. But like I said, I think it's all going to blow back in their faces, because the best laid plans of mice and men often go awry. So that's what I think is happening, and I think we haven't yet seen the whole fallout of it. But when it comes to prophecy and stuff, my problem with that is that they're trying to make it happen because they believe that orchestrating it this way will get all these people who will believe in these end time prophecies to jump in on this and support what's going on instead of opposing it. And we should be trying to.
Wars, obviously. Yeah. Okay, I'm not in favor of any of this. I don't want to see various nations get annihilated. I don't want to see the United States get annihilated. Okay, what I would like to see is the request of Our Lady of Fatima, okay, fulfilled by the Pope and fulfilled by Catholics, so that we can have a lasting peace. That's what I want to see. Okay, but Our Lady warned us that if we don't fulfill her request, if we ignore her, which is what the world and the church has done, okay, then this, and this are going to happen. Nations will be annihilated. There will be great famines. That's what she predicted. Okay, and that's all coming to fruition. We can see it. Okay, little Jacinta said, "Don't you see all those roads and fields full of people crying because they have nothing to eat?" Well, that sounds like a debt collapse to me.
Let me chime in real quick, and then I'll give you the last word, White Wolf. But what you're saying here speaks of high privilege, brother. It's like, look, this is all being unfolded. You're seeing it now. There's famine and there's war and there's. That's because you live in the United. Where do you live? Where do you live?
I live in Pennsylvania.
You live in Pennsylvania. You're coddled here in the United States, dude. There's been.
I'm not coddled. Okay. I earned $800 whole dollars.
I gave you a chance to speak. Please let me get my thought out, and then I will let you get your thought out.
I have a garden.
I don't want to have to mute you.
That's how I survive.
Okay. Go ahead.
I haven't gotten one dime from the federal government. Okay, don't talk to me about being coddled.
I'm trying to tell you, if you would listen for a second, you hear what I'm trying to tell you. Okay, I'm not talking about getting a dime from the federal government. I'm talking about the level of a life that we have here in the United States, where we're not going through freaking famine. And then when you see it reported on the news one time that it might affect you, then you're like, oh, this is happening. This has been happening in third world countries since I've been alive. This isn't anything new. This has been happening.
Well, yes, that's because of everything the United States has exported around the world, okay?
So there's no prophecy here. There's nothing being fulfilled. All of these things have been happening. It's been the end of the world for people in Africa forever. It's been the end of the world for people in World War II, all the Jews that got killed. It's the end of the world for them. Okay, in the Middle East, it's a problem. It's a problem. And to say this is fake and gay, first off, I disagree with the term, period. And then to say it's fake, it minimizes what's actually going on around the world. It's a big problem. It's a big problem. And you're like, oh, this is all orchestrated. Well, let's see how well you take it when it knocks on your door. How orchestrated is it then? How orchestrated is it then? People are dying. There have been American service members sent back here that died needlessly. But you believe that's all fake. Said by your words, you believe it's all fake. So if you believe it's all fake, I can't help you. And your mentality, it's what's got us to this point right now. People that think like you, that want the end of the world to come, they want to bring freaking we have to do this because, it's the Antichrist and the end of times and all this other stuff. People that think like you, that think they got it all figured out, have got us to this point. All right, RB Ham, then I'm going to unmute him and let him talk, and then we'll get out of here. Go ahead, buddy.
Well, I just want to say, the powers that ought not be.
Whatever you want to say. Don't worry about it. Go ahead.
The powers that ought not be, the masters of the universe, all that stuff, they think they have this under control, but it's rapidly spinning out of control, as we can see, as the Trump administration completely implodes on itself, as everything they thought they had under control, they don't. And that's actually history. If you look at history, there's times in history where nothing happens for decades at a time, and there's times in history that decades happen in a moment of time. And I think we're in that situation right now. We can't foresee what's going to happen. We can guess at it. But what we can do is on a local level, start caring about your family and your community, because we're not going to vote our way out of this. We're just going to survive it. And at the end of this horrible thing that's happening, our future is our children and our grandchildren, and we have to make sure we leave something for them. So think locally, grow a garden, and be aware of what's happening, and don't stick your head in the ground, and don't be like these other people. Like I have a lot of friends that supported me during the Freedom Trucker Convoy that are these born again Christians who believe in the Schofield Bible and all that stuff. And it's very scary right now how they're supporting what's going on. And I don't know how they can do it, because that's just contributing to the problem. You got to oppose what's going on, fight against it. And if you're just saying, well, this is all part of God's plan, then you're like, I don't know how I can help you then, because what you're saying is that God approves of billions, millions and millions of people dying horribly painful deaths. And I just can't get on with that. I don't care. So thanks. I got to go.
Very good point. You tell the people where they can find you, buddy, real quick.
Okay. You can find me on X at RBHam63. You can tune in tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on RB Ham Beyond the Pale. I have Sabrina Salvetti and Don Jeffries coming on. Next week, I have Anthony Aguilar, that the American who blew the whistle on what was going on in Gaza. He was at that food distribution site working as a private contractor and saw the horrors going on there. So he's going to be on my show next week. So RB Ham Beyond the Pale on Rumble. I'm also going live to YouTube tonight. So, hey, maybe I'll last a few minutes there before they cut me off.
Go support RB Ham. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye. All right. I'm going to turn it over to White Wolf. He's going to get the last word. I'm not going to interrupt him. He's just going to go, and then we're getting out of here. All right. White Wolf, I'm unmuting you. You should be able to talk now. Go ahead, sir.
Well, Are you familiar with the 3 secrets that Our Lady of Fatima gave the 3 children on July the 13th, 1917?
Yeah, I'm familiar with the situation. I listen to Coast AM a lot on the prophecies or whatever. I don't know them off top, but I've seen, History Channel shows about this, and I listen to a lot of people on Coast AM talk about it. But
okay, well, tell me what the 3 punishments that
I just told you I don't know them off top. You're gonna have to tell me.
Okay, war, famine, and persecutions of the Holy Father. Okay, now Billy Ray, these are not being inflicted by God. Okay, we are inflicting these things upon ourselves. Okay, our punishments are self-inflicted.
I agree.
Right. Okay, and I'm not a Zionist. Okay, I'm not for Israel, and I'm not for Iran. Okay, I'm for peace. Okay. All right, peace, the tranquility of order.
Good.
Okay, that's what I'm for. Okay, I don't want to see millions of people die. Okay, but if the world is going to walk away from the plan of God, if the world is going to turn its back on marriage and turn to sodomy and turn to all these other types of sins and turn to murdering one another and turn to graft and greed and materialism and so on and so forth, well, as the Muslims would say, if you sow the wind, you will reap the whirlwind. And that's what we're seeing. It's that simple, okay? That's all I'm saying. Okay? But I don't think it's people like me that are making this hellstorm happen. Okay? I don't want this to happen. I've been trying to get people to wake up for 40 years.
All right. No, I and that's cool. Thank you for clarifying your position. I just think that this has gotten way out of control.
Well, of course it has. But there's ways to bring it back under control, and Our Lady of Fatima has the path, has the way, has the solution. The popes don't want to try it. And especially Catholics don't want to practice devotion to the Immaculate Heart, and Protestants don't even understand Our Lady. They think Catholics worship Our Lady. That's ridiculous.
All right, listen. I back then when I used to do the Infinite Fringe, I'd have had you on to talk about the 3 secrets and the whole deal. I don't do that show anymore, but we're doing other stuff that might lend itself to that. So let's have a conversation. My whole deal is, and then we're getting off. My whole deal is that there are a lot of quote unquote Christians that think they can use the Bible to decipher what's going on. That think that the Bible is like a Rosetta Stone to decode the coming of Jesus Christ, and they want to make predictions, and like this Jane guy or whatever the hell his name is, I'll play him on Gorilla Underground, leading all of this, and it's becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy. I have a very different view from most. I don't even say most Christians, but from the type of Christianity that is prominent right now, the Christian nationalist, the Christian Zionist. I don't subscribe to it.
Well, I don't either.
Go ahead, buddy.
Okay, I don't subscribe to what they're preaching in these suburban mega churches that I see popping up all over the place. As far as I'm concerned, that's not Christianity. That's a racket. And
I agree with you. I agree with that too.
There was a pastor that said to one of his assistants one time, "You see every seat down there? Every seat down there is worth $42 in the collection plate. Right. So that's why we fill those seats. That's why we tell them what they want to hear." Okay, but the last book of the Bible is the Apocalypse. Yeah, and the word apocalypse means unveiling. Right. Okay, it means that as we approach the end of the world, it will become more and more clear. Just as the apostles realized how much the prophets had talked about our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Okay,
I just
Psalm 21 predicted his crucifixion in detail.
I just think, White Wolf, that every generation has an apocalypse scenario. Every generation is faced with with circumstances that lead them to believe that it's the end of the world.
Oh,
You know?
I agree.
So,
but it's like being in the dead of winter. Okay, you know there's going to be a warming trend. You just don't know exactly when it's going to come.
this is true, but winter comes around every year. And every time that winter comes around, if we start prepping for the end of the world, we're going to be wrong the majority of the time. You know, and that's the way I look at it. Like there's always a season. There's always things that go down. But is it the end of the world? You know, so is it productive to start talking about, you know, hey, it's over, you know, and then lending credence to a guy that says they're going to blow up the Alaska Mosque? It's a problem. You know, so I look at this and I'm very alarmed. I think we share the same view about not wanting people to die. I don't want to see people dead.
I don't want people to die.
And I also the only thing that it appears that we still disagree with is the fake and the orchestrating aspect of this, that nobody's died in these.
Oh, I'm not saying that nobody's died.
That's kind of what
what I'm saying is that the reasons that people think they're fighting for, that's what's fake and gay. That's what's all lies.
Okay, well, it's fake. It could be fake. Yeah, it is all lies. But yeah, I think it's important to point out that when we say something like that, it's important to point out that these are real world events. They are verifiable and they are happening, and there are people that are being affected by them.
Okay, you know the event that started World War I, right? The assassination of the Archduke Ferdinand.
Yeah, by what is the
okay? The back
man?
of the license plate of the car that he was driving that day says A111118. That's Armistice, November 11th, 1918. Okay, it's all spelled out right there. They choreographed World War I from beginning to end. And Our Lady of Fatima told us when the game plan for World War II was going to be put into play, and that was January 25th, 1938. Look what happened on January 25th, 1938. Read the papers about the so-called Aurora Borealis that was seen by 1 billion people. That was a sign foretold by Our Lady of Fatima.
Well, I mean, you know, a lot of mysteries in the world. Do I think these events are orchestrated? I used to be more sympathetic to that point of view than I am right now.
No, I think it's all orchestrated. I think the Iran war, the Ukraine war are just two proxy wars between Russia and the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's what's going on at the deeper level. They're also destroying all the oil. Okay, well, everybody was worried about Iranian sleeper cells. The Ukrainians took out 3 big, massive Russian refineries last week.
All right, buddy, we got to go.
They are going to shut down the oil. That's what's coming.
We got to go because Knights of the Storm is coming on, and I want to give everybody an opportunity to run over there, buddy. Okay, so just tell the people where they can find you. Anything you want them to know, make it brief.
No, that's all. Okay, you can sign off. I'll see you later.
All right, buddy, take it easy. All right, we're getting out of here. I hope everybody enjoyed the show today. Knights of the Storm. Go tune into Knights of the Storm. It should be a good one. And Gorilla Underground tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern, on YouTube and on my X stream. Thank you, everybody who's tuned in today to listen to America Unplugged. We appreciate you. All right. Keep your head up. God bless.